Hi, my name is Jacqueline Orange, and I'm the founder. ArtCrawl Harlem was founded in 2008 with Evelyn Archer and myself. Evelyn was an avid art collector and gallery owner. She had a fierce passion for the visual arts and was a great supporter of artists all around the world. We met at a community meeting in Harlem and was discussing. I know everybody was trying to increase business, whatever their different businesses were. And I met at that time various, a number of other art gallery owners, and they seem to all have a central, issue with getting more foot traffic in the door. And I suggested, why not do an art crawl? The term art crawl, no one seemed to understand what I was talking about or the terminology of art crawl. But I'm from Chicago, and Chicago has bar crawls, jazz crawls, blues crawls. They have many different things. And I went on an art crawl that was so exciting. And it was just one of the best days I'd experienced, where we went around to a number of galleries in the morning by a bus and had snacks and beverages. And we discovered galleries that were hidden within the community. At the end of the day, we returned and decided to go independently to a very large gallery in the gallery district of Chicago, and had a wonderful dinner with a great chef and libations and great Caribbean and African music all throughout the night into the early wee hours of the morning. So I gave that explanation to Evelyn, and she said, you know what, let's do it. Can we do that together? Well, at that time, I just started my tour company, which is a food and cultural tour in Harlem. And I had really not worked all the nuts and bolts of that out. So I decided to go along, and together we produced ArtCrawl Harlem by using a vehicle. The first vehicle we used was a limo bus. And then we found these trolley buses that were available here in New York. And we started doing tours by trolley. It was one of the first trolley tours, art gallery tours that was going on in Harlem. And we would showcase the public art in the streets as with tour guides that were very familiar with the subject matter. And a lot of people in New York, you're probably just walking down the street. You don't notice the things around you. And I think that's what makes me interesting tour guide, because I look around for those things that are in your face, but you might not notice them every day. You become blind to them. And so we put that on the route, and the tour guides talked about those particular things that were in the public space. And as we arrived to a gallery, the gallery owner, along with the artist, would talk about the art in the gallery, and they would walk you through the exhibition. And along that, in addition to having a few snacks for you as well, which is always nice. And at the final gallery, we would have a full reception with a band or some type of live music or poetry, and allow all the people who've just experienced the day an opportunity to talk about it with each other and to just debrief on their experience that they just witnessed. Well, now, since 2008, ArtCrawl has had many different renditions. We've had the gallery tours, we've had theme tours, we have now, we've done something called holiday windows to decorate the windows of local businesses during the Christmas season. And that has a life of its own, which it could be expanded to be much better. And recently this year, we worked by doing a single gallery exhibition and a number of activities that will follow. I wish that ArtCrawl can continue on forever, and it will always continue to expand and showcase the artists of this community. And there are many new artists in the current exhibition called Fire and Soul. It is showcasing a lot of new up and coming emerging artists, and some very seasoned artists are also in that program. This summer, we had our first artist in residency on Governor's Island. That was an exciting project to do, something that Averlin always had a vision of, having an artist in residency. And I expect that we will continue this working with, or hopefully always get this opportunity to go on Governor's Island and offer an artist in New York City an opportunity to have a peaceful space to create new works of art, and maybe it will open their mind to having a whole different type of art that they have not done in the past, and now they can create something new. Living in New York, we have small spaces that we live in. So to have a space that you can do, you know, a nice open space as a studio for your benefit to create in is wonderful.
Most people always ask me, what is Create Your Life? Create Your Life is the power of declaration, is getting grounded and getting centered within yourself, within your heart and within your mind. It's co-creating with God. It's creating a path and a journey for yourself. There's something that you can do better than anybody else in this world. You have a talent and you are uniquely designed. It's your duty and your responsibility to use that gift to empower the world and to impact the world. When I often talk about Create Your Life, it's about taking that talent, that gift that it is that you possess, and you impact the world with that gift. I dare you to do it. I dare you to use your gifts, and I dare you to create your life. My name is DeMarcus McGoy.
Welcome to the room. On behalf of ArtCrawl Harlem, we welcome you to Fire and Soul, 100 Years of Harlem Art Virtual Exhibition. I'm Diedra Harris-Kelley, co-director of the Romare Bearden Foundation, and for the next 60 minutes, I'm honored to be your host. I just want to give a little shout out to Miss Jackie Orange. We go back a few years, and she's a dynamic force in the community. We still have fans talking about the fun trolley tour she put together during the Bearden Centennial celebration. And she's responsible for the most magical holiday window set of events I'd ever seen. She's a sheer force of nature. During that celebration of Bearden's 100th birthday, ArtCrawl Harlem created the Romare Bearden Art Gallery tour called On the Block. Not only did we go through art spaces all throughout Harlem, we even crossed the water to New Jersey. It was an example of successful collaboration when small institutions come together to have greater impact. The Romare Bearden Foundation was established in 1990 by the artist's wife, Nanette Rohan Bearden, as the nonprofit organization to preserve the artistic and intellectual legacy of Romare Bearden, who died in 1988. Nanette was a model, she loved dance, and was the founder and director of the Nanette Bearden Contemporary Dance Theater until her passing in 1996. Romare Bearden was one of the greatest American artists and was of African descent. He was born in 1911 in Charlotte, North Carolina, but spent his formative years in Pittsburgh and Harlem, USA. Known for his innovative collage work and depictions of Black life in America, his works can be found in numerous museums and private collections across the world. The Bearden Foundation promotes his legacy by supporting educational programs, exhibitions, critical scholarship, and public projects that deepen appreciation of Bearden's extraordinary art and life. In addition, the foundation acknowledges the professional and personal encouragement Bearden provided to other artists by supporting the creative and intellectual development of up-and-coming African-American artists and scholars. The foundation also preserves Bearden's papers in library and recently launched a partner project to produce the digital catalog resume, the ultimate guide to the artist's work. As well as spearheading these programs, it's important for us to honor Bearden's legacy working with others to educate the public to the incredible art that's being produced today. To that end, we're a participating institution of the Harlem Renaissance 100 Community Celebration, an initiative organized by Harlem One Stop and a cultural collaborative of over 35 institutions. The group seeks to reassert Harlem as that fertile ground, then, now, and forever. The next 100 years are taking form, and the art community in Harlem is stronger than ever. To me, great cities are only as good as their access to the culture. ArtCrawl Harlem creates innovative ways to experience that art. I would like to introduce you to ArtCrawl Harlem's Executive Director, Ulysses Williams. For the past 11 months, he has worked endlessly on an artist residency program, 2 art exhibitions, fundraising, and community outreach, all during a pandemic. I am proud to introduce Ulysses Williams.
Thank you, Jacqueline Orange, founder and chair of ArtCrawl Harlem, for that wonderful opening. If it wasn't for you and Evelyn Archer's vision to artfully offer something to the community of Harlem and beyond, we would not be here today. I would also like to give a big shout out and thank you to Diedra Harris-Kelley for agreeing to host today's Fire and Soul 100 Years of Harlem virtual exhibition. Harlem ArtCrawl cherishes its relationship that we fostered over the years with the Bearden Foundation, and we look forward to continuing it. My name is Ulysses Scott Williams, and I'm the Executive Director of ArtCrawl Harlem. And I thank you for joining us today. You could have chosen to be anywhere else, but you chose to be with us. So I ask that you sit back, relax, and enjoy this virtual presentation that we have prepared for you. Due to the pandemic, ArtCrawl Harlem had to learn to shift and pivot our planning and goals for 2020. But all in all, with that being said, I believe that ArtCrawl Harlem has had a good year so far. Even during a COVID-19 pandemic, we saw the importance of continuing to plan and realize our mission to support creatives and provide avenues with which they could share their work with public audiences. It's been 2 years since ArtCrawl Harlem has actually been active, and I'm happy to say ArtCrawl Harlem is back. I'm excited to also share with you that ArtCrawl Harlem hosted its inaugural artist residency on Governor's Island entitled Boundaries and Connections, The Other Side of Us. Our artists in residence actually were 2 artists we have installed here at the Fire and Soul exhibit. They include Ricky Day, who's a painter, photographer, and filmmaker, and painter DeMarcus McGoy, as well as Lisa Du Bois, who provided a public art installation on Governor's Island entitled The Sacred Space. We were happy that we were able to provide space and time for artists to safely create a body of work, a series of work that would celebrate Harlem and add to its legacy of arts and culture. I'm sitting here in Kente Royal Gallery, where ArtCrawl Harlem is proudly presenting Fire and Soul 100 Years of Harlem. I, along with my co-curators, Nakia Hicks and Dodji Gbedemah, applaud the community of artists for continuing to create even during these challenging times. ArtCrawl Harlem received 46 fantastic submissions from visual artists for the Fire and Soul exhibit. We were able to install the artwork of 18 New York City area artists. These artists represent the diaspora, hailing from America to Cuba to Haiti, Jamaica, Africa, and even Sweden. Our artists living in Harlem now come from many different areas of the United States, as close as New Jersey, as far as Texas, Florida, Ohio, and California. During the Harlem Renaissance, as today, contemporary artists picked up the mantle to influence the direction of arts and culture on an international landscape. This 4-week-long exhibit explores the various identities and impacts of Black people as it intersects American culture. From the Great Migration to immigration, from music, sexuality, and gender identity, politics, religion, public health, education, the COVID-19 pandemic, and the pursuit of freedom in everyday life. The exhibit's intention is to envelop the viewer with the hopes of awakening the senses to history, the modern-day hopes and dreams. ArtCrawl Harlem is exhibiting a diverse roster of artists across different mediums.
My name is Ulysses Williams, the Executive Director of ArtCrawl Harlem. We have 18 extraordinary artists here on exhibit from December 3rd to January 3rd. And tonight we're at Fire and Soul, 100 Years of Harlem, an ode to the Harlem Renaissance and the 100 years that followed.
In New York City, there are over 1,500 art galleries. Out of the 1,500 galleries, there's less than 1% that are Black owned. There are only a handful of art galleries. This is our dream. Like literally, this is happening in this moment.
So most of the time, the people that I photograph, which I perceive as the beautiful people, having worked with notable people, I think these are the most beautiful people that I encounter. People that are generally overlooked.
I spent a lot of time apologizing for my Blackness, I think I had a lot of stigmas and a lot of issues in terms of being a Black woman that I was trying to combat. And I used art as a way to talk about those things and also as a way to uplift my community.
Fire and Soul really means to me the African American experience. We are deeply spiritual people. We understand and recognize our connection to the Creator, and that speaks to the soul. And the fire in us, man, is that ability to survive and even thrive in circumstances that would probably destroy others.
My art, I like to call it handsome art. It's dealing with mental health of Black men and being a Black man in America and the different emotions and the different things that we have to go through within life.
The thing that inspires me the most is just living in New York City. You cannot walk out your door and not be inspired, from your local bodega to your cab driver, just to the billboards or just the energy of the city.
And the energy is still here no matter what they try to do, what narrative they try to change or what they try to build. Harlem will always be Harlem. And I love the stories of Harlem. I love the people of Harlem. Just the energy of Harlem is something that's, I hope that lives forever.
Hello everyone, my name is Dodji Gbedemah. My wife Phyllis and myself are the owners of Kente Royal Gallery, located at 2373 Adam Clayton Powell Jr. Boulevard, right between 138th and 139th Street in Harlem, New York, across the street from Stravers Road. We are super delighted to welcome you to this exhibit, Fire and Soul, 100 Years of Harlem, presented by ArtCrawl and curated by Ulysses, William, Nakia, Hicks, and myself. We are excited to present this exhibit in collaboration, like I said, with ArtCrawl, and we hope you enjoy it and you will come back in the future to see other exhibitions. Thank you so much.
My name is Gbedemah. I live here in Harlem. Been living here for 25 years plus. I'm an artist. photographer, mixed media artist, also community activist and organizer. I'm really excited to be showcasing my work here, my photographs as part of Fire and Soul exhibition, 100 Years of Harlem. And with so many talented artists, it's really, really exciting. My series is called Faces of Harlem, which is an ongoing, it's a longitudinal series. I've been working on this, I think since I moved here. I've been taking pictures since, I was very, very young.
My name is William Daniels. I'm one of the artists in ArtCrawl Harlem, Fire and Soul 100 Years of Harlem exhibition. I'm a textile artist and a quilter, and the 3 pieces that I have in the exhibition are from my totem collection. The totems are obviously Native American inspired, and for me as a Black American, I feel like we are made up of all people. So we have a birthright to sort of explore these symbols and really dive into Native American culture. And in doing so, it's a journey into ourselves, and we get to know more about ourselves and where we come from. I'm one of a small population of African American male quilters in the United States, and I'm very excited to be a part of this exhibition. It's really amazing to see the diversity of work that's coming out of the Harlem community, some of the issues and the topics that are being explored here. It's very...
Hi, my name is Nakia Daniels, and I'm a visual artist at Fire and Soul exhibition in Harlem. Some of the work that I have here today is inspired by the Harlem community and my commute traveling within the Bronx and Harlem. So the first piece that I have up here is Divine Right 2, and right below it is Far From Home. And over here on this side is Windows to the Soul, and right above that is Butterflies. So these works are all inspired by my experiences I've witnessed, and just some of the people that I have seen, and really just been inspired by the vibrancy and Black beauty within Harlem.
Greetings, my name is Rudy Collins. I'm a Harlem photographer. I was born in Harlem on 125th Street across from the Apollo Theater. Very interesting place to grow up. I went into the Air Force in 1968. When I came out in 1972, Harlem was like a different place. So I picked up a camera and I started taking pictures all over the place. And I really didn't do anything for maybe another few years. And then I got involved in it again as gentrification started taking place. So I have a series that I call Harlem is Art series, where the brownstones and the buildings are beautiful as they weren't before. And I have like a before and after show with that. I also am a photographer, contributor, and on the board of Harlem World Magazine. And I'm the president of the photographers, the Photographers Collective. And we're just getting off the ground now with Black photographers all over the country and things like that. I'm very thankful for Fire and Soul with Ulysses and Dodji and his wife and Jackie for allowing me to exhibit my work here. I'm proud to be here, and I'll do whatever I gotta do to help keep moving them forward. Thank you.
My name is Ricky Day, and I'm so grateful to be one of the artists who was selected to exhibit in the wonderful exhibition Fire and Soul 100 Years of Harlem at Kente Royal Gallery and presented by ArtCrawl Harlem. My 3 pieces that I submitted for the show, and thank goodness were accepted, are 3 pieces that incorporate my original photography with archival images, connecting the past of Harlem and greats who have worked in Harlem with contemporary figures that are doing related work. The first piece is called Malcolm and Mike, and it's about Malcolm X and the Reverend Michael A. Walworn Jr., who's the senior pastor at First Corinthian Baptist Church. Pastor Mike works not only as a faith leader, but he's committed to social justice, human rights, and economic justice for all people, particularly African Americans. And people often forget that Malcolm X was a faith leader first and fighting for our rights as well. And so those two men are very much in conversation. The second piece is called Baldwin and the Bishop, and it's about Joseph Tolton, Bishop Joseph Tolton of the Fellowship of Affirming Ministries, and of course James Baldwin. Both are black gay men, or we like to call them native sons, who are committed to fighting for human rights, justice for all people, and for Bishop Tolton specifically, LGBTQ folks around the world, particularly in Africa and here in the United States. So those two men are very much in conversation. And then the last piece, Humbly, is called The Day and the Park, and it's about one of my heroes, Gordon Parks, and it's a self-portrait of myself done in conjunction with an artist, a friend of mine by the name of Aaron Weiss. And this piece is really about relating my work to Gordon Parks. Not that I would ever put myself on the same pedestal as Mr. Parks, but I am an artist much like Mr. Parks who worked in photography, in film, writes music, and is also working on a book. And we are two artists who are committed to using our gifts to serve humankind and highlight the suffering, the oppression, and of course the achievements of marginalized people. So those are my three pieces for this wonderful show, and I'm so grateful to the curators for selecting me, Nakia and Dodji, and of course Ulysses. Without Ulysses Williams, I don't see how any of this happens. So again, I'm thankful and grateful for participating in the show.
My name is Sophisticated Cookie, and I'm an exhibitor here at ArtCrawl Harlem Inspiring Soul exhibit. The two pieces that I have in the show, the first piece is called We Are All Here. We're All Here started as a piece about COVID, which really affected my work deeply, and it had me thinking a lot about how we're not connected, but we are as a people. And it comes from a series that I had started called Gathering of Tribes. In We the People, I talk about Sanskrit from North Africa that I found interesting and intriguing due to doing a research on my family's history. So I brought in different cultures into the picture, as well as the language of that area in the Sanskrit. The second piece that I have in the exhibit is called Warrior Prose, which is also a Sanskrit that means warrior, the symbols that are in there. And I brought that piece out because it talked a lot about Black Lives Matter at the time. I feel like as African Americans, we are scattered all over, but we definitely are connected in tapestry together as a people. And in the piece, I felt like bringing the Black men together, holding on to each other, as well as showing our unity was really important.
Hello, my name is Sean Patrick Waters. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky originally, and I've lived in New York City for about 30 years. I moved here originally to be a dancer, and I danced a little bit. I did some off-Broadway shows. I danced back up for recording artists by the name of Maya Days for a couple of years, and it took me out through Europe and America. It was amazing. And on these tours, I had nothing to do in our downtime, so I bought a camera and I started taking photos, and that's really where it began. I would document all the cities, my other castmates, and I had someone of importance see my work and say, hey, I think you're a great photographer, which is something I never called myself. So I decided to run with it. I worked quite a bit in corporate, and it allowed me to be able to buy equipment and to pay for classes, which I did. And I found my voice and what I wanted to shoot. I stumbled a little bit in the beginning for sure, but after I found my voice, I decided what I need to do is to be honest. And I kept hearing that phrase over, be honest. And it took me, I would say, about 15 years before I really found that path. And I feel now I'm in my stride, which led me to meeting Ulysses. And he gave me the confidence in what I wanted to present for Fire and Soul, which was the lack of queer voices in Black art. And we knew James Baldwin was gay, but we tiptoed around it. I don't think he really got to live his worth in the way he should have while he was alive. So I feel like it's my job to carry that on. It doesn't have to be everything queer, as I say, but the pieces that I have were non-binary artists that I wanted to introduce, and I find that's important. So here I am. Thanks for the journey, and I look forward to doing more with Kente Order Gallery.
I'm Amber Lodman, an ArtCrawl Harlem Fire and Soul exhibiting artist, 100 Years of Harlem. Behind you see 3 pieces of mine that I've created, and I was just so excited to hear that I would be selected as one of the 18 artists to participate in this exhibition. Harlem has a special place in my heart. I always say that because somehow growing up as a woman in Tallahassee, Florida, I knew Harlem was a special place. I am a transplant, but Harlem has always been home and community, and that's what it's meant to me over the years. I do know some of the artists who are in the exhibit, and I was surprised and happy to see that their work is here, and I'm alongside all of these greats. I'm really motivated in my artwork by our everyday life, my experience as a Black woman, our shared and individual identities as Black women in a Black community. You see with Saturday Hair, this is a memory that I have of being home in the kitchen and my hair getting straightened with a hot comb, or just feeling a sense of shared pain, but also a beautiful experience and a tapestry that we've woven together. Or even Do Not Dilute, which is my resistance piece. Do not become watered down with the ideas that other people may have of you, or that you may even have of yourself. So sharing personal narrative is really, really important in my work. And I think being an artist here, and being an artist in Harlem, and in the Kente Royal Gallery is unique in itself. I feel that when people come in this space, and I've observed from a safe distance, of course, when people are here, they feel really captured by the stories that you can see in all of the artwork. They feel welcome, it's inviting, it's community, it's warm, it's Harlem. And I really feel the soul that was intended, I think, with creating this show. And when, as an artist, it's important to have spaces like this to share your personal experiences, to express yourself, to share your work. And for 2 years, I wasn't doing that. For 2 years, I was a kind of a recluse when it came to my artwork. I have, a 9 to 5. I do work that I'm very proud of as an arts administrator with the city. But that piece of me as an artist, I'm being able to fulfill once again through this exhibition. And it's a comeback for me. It's, after 2 years of not exhibiting, having the opportunity to be here is really special. It's really special.
The artists that inspire me have always been Barclay Hendricks first, because I love the way that he paints portraits, and I love the way that he paints Black people, and he paints them in this cool swag type of way. And I also love Kehinde Wiley, and I love Amy Sherrill, Jean-Michel Basquiat. And then currently I'm really loving King Saladin. He's a pop artist out of Philly. So I really love, but I think out of all of them, what I like about them all the most is the way that they use color, the way that they express themselves, and the way that their colors are so vibrant and so bold. And I think that is a depiction within my art as well too, because I just love colors. When I see colors and when I see texture, it lets me know that I'm alive. It lets me know that I can see, and when I see the textures, it makes me, what I want to make people want to touch my work. It's like play on the senses. What I see moving forward is, I see me really diving in and exploring narratives of the life that I've lived, of the places that I've traveled, of the people that I've met. I also see me telling stories of my times with my parents, the relationship between my father and myself as a child, and having that support system behind you to propel you within life and to teach you different things, like how to ride a bike, you know, taking your first bath, how to ride a big wheel, you know. And I see myself also painting larger style paintings. I'm getting a little bit more comfortable in creating a space and taking up space. Originally, I was always would paint like a 30 by 40 canvas, which I thought was pretty big, but kind of in the grand scheme of things, it's kind of small. So I want to get comfortable in taking up space, you know, having these larger than life superhero characters, and painting portraits and images of Black people and the representation of Black people to one day inspire my viewers to be better or to live life into their highest possibilities, or to do something that they didn't think that they could do after they view my paintings. My name is DeMarcus McCoy.
This next young man I was happy to meet during his second visit to the Fire and Soul exhibition, when he brought a friend along to expose him to the wonderful art on exhibit here. This man made his Broadway debut in Choir Boy, the play written by Oscar-winning writer Terrell Alvin. When I asked him to come and bless the gallery with his voice, I only asked that he select a song that would stir the ancestors and make our audience say amen. I believe he's done just that. Please join me in welcoming singer, actor, Marcus Gladney, Jr.
I'm Marcus Gladney, Jr., singing Black and Blue. Cold, empty bed, spring's hard as lead, pains in my head, feel like old Ned. What did I do to be so black and blue? No joys for me, no company, even the mouse ran from my house. All my life through, I've been so black and blue. I'm white inside, but that don't help my case. Don't you know it, brother? 'Cause I can't hide what is on my face. Oh, I'm so forlorn, life's just a thorn, my heart is torn. What did I do to be so black and blue?
Hello, my name is Nakia Hicks. I am a board member of ArtCrawl Harlem, and I also had the distinct pleasure of being a curator for this Fire and Soul 100 Years in Harlem art exhibition. I joined the ArtCrawl Harlem board a little less than a year ago because I was really impassioned by the commitment to art that the organization had. I understood that it was so important as a Harlemite to continue that legacy. So I aligned myself with Marlene Archer, Jacqueline Orange, and under the fearless leadership of Ulysses, we have gone ahead and we've done some beautiful and amazing programming this year. This particular exhibition is important because this is the centennial celebration and acknowledgement of the Harlem Renaissance. The artists that submitted were all the embodiment of what that means, what that art means. And curating this exhibition was painstaking because everyone that made their art available was so on point when it came to the understanding of why and how it's important to celebrate the art and the legacy of the Renaissance. The pieces that you see tell a story. It's a narrative. The narrative from the Great Migration onto the art and the music and the dance and the vibrancy that came of that particular era. In addition, we also pulled together some of the traditional elements of what an exhibition should be. So you see these two very beautiful nudes that are the highlight for me of the exhibition, and they're right there in the center of the gallery. In addition, we have pieces from photography, so it's mixed media. There's photography, there is fine art. We've also had some spoken word submissions and people that we've celebrated that have come and just written pieces that talk about the majesty of Harlem and what that Harlem experience looks like. And so while we invite everyone to come and enjoy the exhibition, we also encourage anyone that's watching to please participate in the things that we're doing. Become a member. Obviously, fundraising is really important to us. The virtual element of this particular exhibition was something that we thought was really important to do as well, not just because we want to remain COVID sensitive and want to make sure that the art is available to those of us in Harlem who are interested in coming out and seeing it, but also for people around the country who also want to celebrate. Those people that are from Harlem and that have moved to different cities and can't be with us, or avid art lovers or art historians or just historians in general, this is an excellent way. This virtual path is an excellent way for us to share this very meaningful exhibition with you all. The artists and the artists that you're going to hear from are going to be able to share with you the inspiration behind their work, but we're also going to continue to build out programming for the duration of the exhibition, which will create opportunities for you to hear from the artists, kind of follow them on the path, hear not just the inspiration, but how they created their pieces. So we have a lot of fantastic programming to support this Fire and Soul exhibition, and we encourage you to follow us across our social media platforms. Make sure that you check in with us throughout 2021 because we are in the process of doing some additional fantastic programming that we sure are going to speak to the hearts and minds of art lovers and just historians and people in general. So we thank you so much for joining us. We encourage you to stay on and listen to the artists and just participate with everything that we're doing. And we hope that you have enjoyed Fire and Soul 100 Years Art in Harlem.
You know, being an artist in this time is a daunting task. You know, through not only going through a pandemic, just police brutality still ongoing, and it's just such a hot climate that we're in right now, as far as negativity. I'm sensitive to negativity, and I can't imagine what others are going through, not having their therapy. I know therapy for me is art. It's always been art. You know, growing up, art was always an outlet for me, and I'm glad I found it in my where I'm at now in life. I use it to express myself, and I'm thankful that ArtCrawl has given me another opportunity to not only share with Harlem, but share it with the world. I love art. Art is life for me, and I'm thankful to have that. Harlem is a beautiful place. The energy, the people, the essence of Harlem is art, creativity in all types of forms, whether food, music, culture. that's Harlem, and I'm thankful to be part of the show. My journey has been a long one. It's much longer than this video could hold, but I'm sure I'll be able to express that another day or share that another day. But once again, I'm thankful to be part of ArtCrawl. I'm thankful to all the artists who came out to support Harlem and the Kente Royal Gallery. For me, 220 is behind me. I'm going on to 2021, and in 2021, I hope to have I'm going to have my solo show, and I hope to see you all there.
Hi, my name is Mario Joyce Blucher. I'm an exhibiting artist at ArtCrawl Harlem's Fire and Soul, 100 Years of Harlem at Kente Royal Gallery. My work is inspired by ancestry, heritage, and the deep roots of the Black community. I use vintage materials and oil paint typically in my studio practice. The work that was selected for Fire and Soul specifically speaks about Black migration from South to northern cities. And they really came here with nothing but a hope and a dream. And then from that seed sprouted this cultural movement that influenced not only America, but the entire world. So it's really special. My piece, Matriarch, is really about celebrating Black women who, through storytelling, keep the door of possibility open, allowing us to navigate new spaces with grace. My piece, Patriarch, confronts the complexity of what it means to be a Black man in America and the sacrifices our fathers made so that we could shine in every corner of this nation. And then finally, Matrilineal pays homage to not just my mother, but all Black mothers who from their womb deliver their children into a world where they must be tough and survive great odds to succeed. Our mothers really gave us all those tools. So, 3 out of 4 of my grandparents migrated to the North for a better life. And knowing that empowers me when I made the move from Ohio to New York City. It empowers me in really my day-to-day life as a practicing artist and as a part of this community. And from that, I'm inspired. I do what I love every day, which is make art. Behind me is the work I just finished entitled We Stay Together. This is oil paint and collage of vintage images pertaining to how Black people fit into American history, but aren't represented in the history books. So, I really want to say thank you to ArtCrawl Harlem and Kente Royal Gallery for allowing me an opportunity to not only pay respect to the Harlem Renaissance, but to celebrate what Harlem is today. So, thank you.
In addition to the fine art that's included in Fire and Soul, we also put out a call to spoken word artists and poets to also submit pieces that encapsulated the meaning of the exhibition and what Harlem meant to them. And after reading countless submissions, it was again painstaking to identify those people whose pieces really spoke to the heart and soul of this exhibition. And so I'm excited to announce that Carla Cherry is our overall winner. But there are some honorable mentions as well. We have Troy Longmire, Tamu Favorite, and Masag Mafai Kawai Shabazz are also honorable mentions. Their pieces were thought-provoking. They spoke to the heart of the people, of the Harlem experience, our history, and all the vibrancy that you see up and down our streets. And so we want to thank these participants as well, because their contribution not only amplified the message, but it also spoke to speaks to the diversification of the art of the Harlem Renaissance and what we know to be art in Harlem. So it's not just fine art. There is the poetry. There are the drummers, the drum circles that you see in Mount Morris Park. There are painters, there are musicians, there are dancers. And so it was our desire to make sure that we included and wove in elements of all of these very special things. And this is what we were able to do with the spoken word component. So again, we thank Carla, Troy, and Tamu for participating with us. We also thank Masad for contributing. And we just really hope that you guys take some time to read through on the site and just have an opportunity to read these wonderful poets and creatives pieces. So again, thank you.
It was important that ArtCrawl Harlem recognized not only the work of visual artists, but also the work of literary artists, the poets and spoken word artists of today. It is my pleasure to introduce a woman who is a proud cancer survivor. She and her husband, Leslie, also tirelessly worked to install the Fire and Soul artwork here on display at Kente Royal Gallery. It is with great pleasure that I introduce to you Miss Deborah Gray, also known as Mama D, who will share her poetry.
Good afternoon. My name is Deborah Gray, and in the community, I am known as Mama D. I would like to thank ArtCrawl Harlem for inviting me and letting me share my poetry with you. This piece is called Renaissance, Ritual, and Routine. There was a great migration, an African movement from the South. The relocation and development is what I'm talking about. It was a Black pride journey, settlers moving up north, filling those empty buildings, giving Harlem a new start. The ritual, born Black back in those days, you had to stand strong in a positive way. Mothers raised their children in a whole different way, told us about our birthright and the kings and queens from which we came, and to stand our ground and be proud throughout our history. Those responsibilities began in a Harlem project where parents raising children didn't take no mess, teaching principles, morals, and respect. Black pride was the object, focusing on the children's success. The routine in the village where children were raised, parents raising those children were not a game. They were adamant about their culture, the music, the literature, and the art. Most parents gave lessons from the very start. The traditions, those beliefs, the habits, and the routines each day, as we thank our Creator for blessing us in a special way, with parents that protected and raised their families so we can instill those lifelong lessons to our kids to pass on to their families. In the 1920s, as we move into these days, there are movements defining the arts in so many ways. They have new schools and literature hours and poet houses and jazz night too, defining those activities that the artists wanted to do. The birth of the Renaissance was beginning for all types of art, the renewal, the regeneration, giving African Americans a new start. The revival, the tradition our ancestors left behind is our history, our chronicles, entrusted to us during these days and times. Listen, don't try to cut down our family trees, destroying those rituals and cultures and traditions that expose our rich history. Music, dance, poetry, and visual art is just a few of the cultural arts instilled as we take life on to a new start. These talents are still on the rise from the 1900s until this day and time, the Renaissance. Thank you.
Fire and Soul. This exhibition is not to be missed. How refreshing to see art endures, even during the pandemics of 2020. The 18 artists are inspiring, their works a celebration of life. Hailing from various parts of the diaspora, using a variety of techniques, they speak to issues of family, discrimination, masculinity, and other complex identities and states of mind. They explore themes of Black historical icons, music, consumer culture. Ironically, many of the themes of the art of 100 years ago. But these works are experimental, bolder, and unmistakably urgent to our time. These artists are a part of a great continuum. I like to think of the success of the Harlem Renaissance of the early teens and 1920s was in part due to African Americans of diverse backgrounds and stations living together and working close with one another, creating a rich, fertile ground of exchange. Exhibits like Fire and Soul carry that tradition into the present. Romare Bearden lived for some time with his family on 132nd Street. He also had a studio above the Apollo, and he cites the proximity to jazz clubs and the vibrant cultural life as informing many of his iconic works. There's a beloved quote of his that translates to, "Artists should be like whales swimming with their mouths wide open, taking in all of their experience until they have what they need." We know great diversity is happening in Harlem, for better or for worse. Fertile ground persists. There's no shortage of artists living and working in Harlem, and new spaces to exhibit are opening up as demand increases for activity uptown. With Columbia University's new art complex that's designed to give greater public access, and the Studio Museum in Harlem's stunning new building, all of 125th Street promises to be a star attraction. There are movements to preserve the architectural beauty and to develop cultural corridors throughout the neighborhoods. This will create opportunities for investment as New York City seeks to regain its status as a major destination. For more information on the Romare Bearden Foundation, visit our website at beardenfoundation.org and look for us on Facebook and Instagram and along with harlemrenaissance.org. Thank you all for taking this journey with us today, and I will give Ulysses the opportunity to say the last words. I'm Diedra Harris-Kelley, co-director of the Romare Bearden Foundation. Good day.
Thank you once again, Diedra Harris-Kelley. We look forward to another 100 years of Bearden Foundation's impact on the arts. I'd also like to highlight those artists that weren't featured in today's program, but are installed here at the Fire and Soul exhibit here at Kente Royal Gallery. Those artists include Anthony Boone, Magdala Charles Artillier, Kareem Chambers, Thomas Heath, Guy Stanley Feloche, and Dominic Williams. Funding for Fire and Soul art exhibition and today's virtual programming were made possible in part with funds from the Lower Manhattan Cultural Council, Upper Manhattan Empowerment Zone, New York City Department of Cultural Affairs, and the New York State Council on the Arts. I'd like to thank our Fire and Soul community partners, which include Harlem 2020, and Irene Gandy and the Gandy Art House. I would like to thank our corporate sponsor, Safina Spirits, for providing the official drinks for Fire and Soul, as well as Costco on 116th Street here in New York City. Our Fire and Soul advisors, Rodney Love Jones, Sandra Alexis Heath, and Richard E. Pelzer. Our ArtCrawl Harlem Planning Committee, Claudia Whittingham and Zarma Hardiman. I'd also like to thank the ArtCrawl Harlem Board of Directors for always being so supportive and helpful throughout this year. They include Jacqueline Orange, Marlene Archer, and Nakia Hicks. I'd like you to remember that a community can't exist without its artists, and that we must consider not only what we did 100 years ago, but also what we do now, whether it's 100 years from now, 100 days from now, 100 minutes, or 100 seconds. I wish you all well, and I ask that you all live artfully, and I want you to remember that we're all the fire and soul of our communities. Thank you for joining us.
My name is Daryl Daniels, and artists are the fire and soul of this community.
My name is William Daniels, and artists are the fire and soul of this community.
My name is Rudy Collins, and artists are the fire and soul of the community.
I'm an artist and fire and soul, 100 Years of Harlem, and I'm the fire and soul of the community.
My name is Sade Bouyeba-El. I'm a photographer, mixed media artist from here in Harlem. Artists are the fire and soul of the community.
I'm artist DeMarcus Malloy, and I am the fire and soul of the community.